I believe when I was in my 30s, maybe actually 20s probably, I hiked across this little bridge right here with Marty. And me and Marty, we hiked up, and Marty didn't go all the way up to the mouth of this mountain here. I went in between those two and you could see the road and everything, the highway from there. He stayed at the bottom right there, kind of where the rock starts. And when we were up there, when we were hiking back, I think we came kind of back on this ridge and was going to come back down to where this bridge is. So we were probably about around in there somewhere, I'd imagine, on this ridge, around in there. And when we were over there, I looked over on like this ridge, but facing the other direction, I believe, or it could have been that ridge facing this direction though. And we seen a big giant cave. It was very, very big. You know, looked big enough to easily walk through, but maybe even like drive through. And it was kind of like, looked like a squarish kind of opening, big opening. And I said, Marty, I said, how could we miss that cave? We kind of like was walking, we didn't even see it over there. And so we hiked back off of this ridge and back up this ridge, I believe, right in here, and was trying to find that cave, and we couldn't find it. It's like it disappeared, or we couldn't find it. But when we were on that other side, we could see it. And yeah, that's a story about these mountains. Crazy. We were running, honestly, just running all over this mountain, just jumping on rocks and climbing all over the place. It was incredible. And now I'm 51 years old, and I'd love to go hiking back, but I won't be able to jump and hike and run across those mountains like I used to. And then this here, between these two mountains, right here, is between those two mountains is where Alex and I saw that UFO. We're at the canyon area where Alex and I saw that UFO about 6 months ago. This is the mountain range where it is. You can see how beautiful it is. It's truly breathtaking. You can see the moon up here somewhere. There. So this UFO, when I first saw it, was sitting back in there, like right in the bottom down in there. Probably an hour before dark, so the sun had already, for the most part, started setting, but it was very bright still, very bright. A little bit less bright than what it is now. It's a little bit earlier than when we seen it. It was sitting back in there. If you see, it almost looks like there could be some mines all the way in the back there. Look at this. Really hard to focus, but you can see looks like telling piles over in there. Now I don't know if that's what those are, but it sure does look like that. And that's about where it was at when I first noticed it. I sat there and I watched it for probably about a minute, and I was thinking to myself, I said, what is that? Is that one of those drones? I thought maybe either somebody was flying a drone, but what I first started thinking was it was a drone that my friend said that they have that travels the edge of the CAP to, I guess, kind of patrol it. And so I was sitting there looking at this object for about a minute, thinking, what is that thing? What is that? It doesn't make any sense. And it was just sitting back there. It was hovering. Didn't look like it was actually on the ground, but kind of looked like it might have been, but I don't believe it was. It was between the ridges. It was down below. So it's like down in there is where it was at, just kind of sitting there. And it was about the size of, I would say, a full-size truck, or maybe a van, about the size of a van, probably bigger than that, to be honest with you. It was pretty big. Maybe one of those 15-passenger vans, or maybe even a small bus, the little tiny buses that they use to transport people that need wheelchair access and so forth for Centran. Something similar to that in size. And it was kind of oval shape, looked like a football, kind of, was the best way to describe it, but more rounder. So the best description is what the F-16 fighter pilots was describing what they saw, which was a TicTac. And that's what I'd say that it looked like more than anything else. And it was just sitting back there, and I was looking at it for about a minute, and it started moving, started coming closer. And I'm thinking this whole time, it must be about 2 minutes now that I've been looking at it, and it's getting closer and closer. And I'm thinking, what is that? What is that? And I started reasoning with myself, like, if it was a drone that was patrolling this CAP, wouldn't it be going along the CAP? I've had helicopters land when I patrolling the CAP back in the 90s, maybe early 2000s, and they would fly above this mountain and just keep on flying straight down, following the CAP at a direct distance. And so I was looking at this object, and I was reasoning, how can that be a drone? And where is the wings? What why is it not I can't hear anything. It made no noise at all. It was just silence. And it kept getting closer and closer. And right here is the edge of the CAP, and you can see this fence. You see that pole right there? Here's the fencing. So it was just on the other side of that fence. And it was, I don't know, probably 100 feet in the air. It was between this mountain and that mountain in height. It wasn't above those mountains. It was still inside the valley coming through the mountain. But it was probably in the middle, maybe a little bit higher. And I was looking at it, I'm thinking, what can that be? And I said, what is that? And I reached to grab my phone, and unfortunately, I had my girlfriend's phone because my phone had died when I was leaving to go. And I grabbed her phone. I left my phone with her in case she needed it. So it took me a few minutes, or I wouldn't say a few minutes, but a little bit of time to find the camera on her phone. And Alex was setting further down, kind of like over in that area. So he's a little bit closer to it, where it actually flew right above us. It went right above. And when it was about right up in here, this distance above us, I grabbed my phone and I looked up and I said, "Where is it, Alex? Where is it?" And it just shot off. Went poof, is what Alex stated, since he was looking at it still while I was trying to grab my phone. It went right above us and it shot off, and instantaneously we seen it, and it was way, way out there. Way out there. And it just looked like a little blip, like a little, very small. We realized too that it was a very large object. I think it was larger than what I had realized. And it was pretty big. It was, like I said, about the size of a little bus, and just made no noise. It's absolute silence. I didn't really even hear it swish when it shot off. That's what Alex said, that it kind of made a swish sound. I don't recall actually hearing that, but according to Alex, That's what he said he heard. I heard no noise. There was no propulsion sounds, no noise at all. It had no wings, had no cockpit, nothing I could see. And it looked like a, kind of like a little grayish. It's the best way. Kind of like a white gray. And that's my UFO story, which is, I always come here and I think about it. And look at these mountains.